From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
A man is dead after being hit while walking on Interstate 90 this weekend. How it happened? Coming up. And renters, homeowners, restaurants, and even performing artists are getting relief during the pandemic, but there's a group that's suffering without any help at all. Coming up, see how small-time landlords are struggling to hang on. It is 6:30 on this Monday. CHET, LAYMAN, Matt Elwell with you here. Holly Brantley is off today. As I glance out the window across the patio, Matt, looks like it could be another beautiful start to our work week.
I think that's key, and it depends on where you are. West of the Divide, it may be a little snowier start than what we're seeing in parts of the area, but of course it looks like our temperatures overall are going to be pretty mild, even with that snow trying to work its way back into the area throughout the day. Most of our area temperatures are in the 20s now. Secondary batch of rain and snow trying to develop as you head into the evening could make things a little damp for the Bozeman area as you get late in the afternoon, early part of the evening. Again, our temperature staying into the 40s. We are watching things closely, especially west of the Divide, for the chance of some snow showers. May slow that commute, especially over Homestake Pass. We'll, of course, talk more in depth about that coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Cool shot there from the Community Hospital of Anaconda
Yeah.
Eye Camp. Our Lady of the Rockies
Just barely peeking through.
It was that was beautiful. Thank you, Matt. 6:31, our top story this half hour. A Bozeman man hit and killed while walking on Interstate 90 Saturday morning, and the Montana Highway Patrol says that incident is continuing to be investigated. Happened around 4 o'clock in the morning. 66-year-old man from Bozeman walking in the westbound driving lane of I-90 near the 19th Street exit at mile marker 305. Troopers say a Ford F-150 pickup pulling a camper traveling in the westbound driving lane struck the man as he was walking. Now, according to troopers, driver at first thought he had hit an animal. Driver, a 59-year-old Iowa man, exited the interstate, called 911 from a nearby parking lot. Treasure State headlines: police in Billings say one person was transported to a hospital with gunshot wound injuries Saturday night after a shooting occurred in the city's downtown area. According to a tweet from the Billings Police Sergeant Peterson, the shooting happened around 10 o'clock in the evening. Officers on the scene found a 38-year-old victim with a gunshot wound. Police located the suspect, a 36-year-old person in the area. At this time, no word on the condition of that victim. Well, on February 10th, U.S. Marshals announced the capture of Clancy, of a suspect, of a suspect wanted for alleged drug trafficking. TN's Alexia Aguayo is talking to the Montana Highway Patrol about the collaborative effort to make that capture following a 5-hour pursuit.
Launch.
These drones used by the Montana Highway Patrol can reach heights near 400 feet.
You can see the heat signature of him walking down the road.
In a non-emergency situation. But recently, the patrol had to push their tech to apprehend a man who fled from authorities.
We have 3 sets of batteries on this that'll run anywhere between 25 minutes and 40 minutes, depending on how you're flying the drone, weather, temperature. And that day, we burned through all 3 sets of batteries until we got the suspect into custody.
The suspect was 44-year-old Stephen Curtis Drury. Law enforcement says they tried to stop Drury at a hotel in Helena, but he fled and led officers on a 5-hour chase. That led them down back roads with deep snow in the Clancy area. MHP had to use their drone due to intel about a possible ambush, especially since Drury reportedly used a chainsaw to cut down a tree to block the road.
I can tell you in my 23 years in law enforcement, this is the first time somebody's cut down a tree in front of us. So immediately when we came to this location, we start looking 360 degrees because we don't know if we're going to be in an ambush position. We put the drone up immediately to look for any heat signatures. And then luckily we had a BLM ranger with a large pickup and a winch. We were able to move this tree out of the way in a matter of minutes.
Authorities were able to use the drone to locate Drury and his vehicle, and he was taken into custody without further incident. In total, more than 5 different law enforcement agencies worked together to capture him.
This is what law enforcement in Montana is about. We had a lot of different components from a lot of different agencies, and everybody was on the same page.
In Clancy, Alexia Aguayo, MTN News.
6:34 now on the national scene. Congress is expected to send a massive $1.9 trillion stimulus bill to the president's desk as soon as tomorrow, with help for businesses, schools, mayors, and yes, those who are behind on their bills. But there's one group who says they wish Congress would do more to help them: landlords. As our Joe St. George tells us, they're tired of feeling forgotten.
If there's one profession you may not think about or even have that much compassion for,
I'm a landlord.
it's Chuck Burt's job, where he's no stranger to the occasional ridicule and maintenance.
Most small landlords either do their own or they hire a handyman.
But he says you should at least take a second to hear his story. He makes the case that throughout the pandemic, landlords like him have struggled. He isn't part of a big corporation or owner of a complex with hundreds of units. He owns a few small family homes around Orlando and says most landlords are just like him.
If your residents can't pay, then that puts you in a problem. And unfortunately, we have been sort of the forgotten entity in this.
Nationwide, about 12 million Americans have struggled to pay rent this pandemic. Various nationwide eviction moratoriums have been in place since last March. Chuck says that has meant many small landlords haven't been collecting rent.
We've gotten no help with no relief from taxes, property taxes, no relief from insurance, no relief from any of our other obligations as far as maintenance. If the air conditioner breaks, I'm still expected to come take care of it.
But it's not just landlords anxiously awaiting the passage of this stimulus bill. Renters are as well, and help is on the way.
The new stimulus bill includes $20 billion worth of renters assistance. That's in addition to the $25 billion Congress passed back in December. The money is administered by local governments and handed out to landlords and renters. While Chuck likes those facts, he says the biggest issue right now remains the inability to evict. He says some residents who could pay are taking advantage of the ban.
If they don't pay their power bill now, they get their power shut off. If they don't pay the water bill, they get their water shut off. If they don't pay for other services, but we're the one service that they can get away with not paying for.
Well, Chuck knows all of this sounds a bit harsh. He says that's the reality thousands of small landlords are facing, arguing not every landlord is a millionaire.
The average landlord only makes a couple $100 a unit per month.
In Winter Park, Florida, I'm Joe St. George.
6:37 now. Millions of people 65 and older with limited income and people with disabilities who have limited financial resources as well rely on Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. The pandemic is making it challenging for more people to get these benefits who need them. Numbers from the Social Security Administration show new benefits for SSI are down nearly 30% during the pandemic. But advocates say the need is greater than ever.
There are people who are very low income, who don't have other sources of income. And, our understanding of what's going on with the economy is not that there are suddenly other sources of income for individuals who are 65 and older. Many of them have lost jobs if they had been able to work.
Now, the offices across the country where you typically go to apply for these benefits have been closed for nearly a year now. This is a precaution for COVID. Currently, there is no public plan for how and when they're going to reopen. There is no online SSI application, so people have had to call their local office to apply.
Time has gone on, getting through to the local offices has been more and more difficult, where people are, getting through and it says that the voicemail box is full, so there's not even a way for them to leave a message, or the number just rings and there's no answer, or they call and it's just always busy.
Again, Kate Lang, an attorney with the organization Justice in Aging, says the group is suggesting to the Social Security Administration that the agency should make a short form available online where people can fill in their info, mail it in, and then get a call back to do their application. The agency tells us in a statement it is exploring how to set up real-time communication between its employees and community-based partners to more effectively obtain applications. The pandemic has moved up the agency's timeline to make that application available to everyone online, but that still will be a long process. Currently, the agency also developing special training for caseworkers in the community to make them more familiar with the process for helping people apply. So much work to do there yet. 6:39, we're going to take a break. When we come back, there's a new push to get more service dogs out to military vets. Why it's needed, coming up. But first, let's check in with Tony DeCopel to see what's coming up at 7 o'clock.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS this morning, Oprah joins us to talk about her explosive interview with Meghan and Prince Harry. That interview ranges from revelations about inappropriate questions about their son Archie's skin color to Meghan acknowledging that she contemplated suicide. We'll show you never before seen clips from that interview. We're also at Buckingham Palace with any reaction from the royal family, plus the latest on the toxic relationship between Harry, Meghan, and the British tabloids. And today is International Women's Day, so first on CBS This Morning, we have Malala Yousafzai, Nobel Peace Prize laureate and advocate for girls' education, talking to us about the exciting new chapter in her life. All that and more coming up at 7.